Not all superheroes are created equal. Some have mystical, fantastic superpowers with robust backstories, while others are just blonde hunks with impeccable aim. Some heroes may be godlike beings, capable of manipulating weather and leading full teams of heroes into battle, while others just might carry a couple big guns. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite mutants to ever walk the halls of the X-Mansion. Her name is Magik, and she's definitely not been created equal. And she may just seem like the baddie with a big sword archetype at first glance. And to be fair, well, she is that. But when you look a little bit closer, there's a decades-long coming-of-age story about battling literal demons while becoming a demon yourself. The control and poise it would take to balance all that chaos while remaining a good, true, and honest person is what makes her so compelling to me. The demons in her story can be interpreted as a metaphor for any number of real-world struggles. That is why I find her narrative so palpable and relatable. Also, she's just metal as f***. I've done a fair few videos up to this point where I go through old comics to see how and why Marvel Rivals ended up with the designs that they put in their game. And let me tell you something, Bucky, no character has permeated into my psyche quite as deeply as the topic of today's video, the legendary leader of Limbo herself, Illyana Rasputin. So join me, won't you, on this fiendish adventure through time, space, and alternate dimensions as we uncover the satanic comic evolution of the sister of Colossus, Magik. Peter and Illyana Rasputin are mutant siblings who were just given a team-up book by Marvel called Magik and Colossus. The first issue is hot off the presses during the making of this video. And you know what, bro? I wanted to read it and get full enjoyment out of it. So in order to do that, I had to go all the way back to the beginning, which for this brother-sister duo was over 50 years ago. They both debuted in 1975 on the pages of Giant Size X-Men #1, written by Len Wein with art by Dave Cockrum. Both of these men are credited with the creation of Magik, but I'd argue they really had nothing to do with it at all. Whoa, put down your pitchforks, folks. Allow me to explain. In this book, the focus is clearly on Colossus, not his younger sister Illyana. Here, Illyana isn't even Illyana yet. She's just some unnamed blonde child who just happens to be playing in the middle of a field somewhere in Russia. She only exists to be in danger as a runaway tractor barrels down in her direction. I don't know how she doesn't see or hear the tractor. She's just blissfully sitting there with a shovel and pail, just chilling, bro. She's given no name, no relationship, and no other reason to be there other than to be rescued. Later on, in a future book, it is revealed that she is in fact Peter's sister. I'm not sure that the writers had anything more concrete in mind than helpless child when they first wrote her character bio. Actually, I'd be surprised if they wrote any kind of character bio whatsoever for her at this point. Peter Rasputin is then recruited into the ranks of the X-Men. He moves from Russia to America to join Professor Xavier in his school for gifted youngsters, adopting the codename Colossus along the way. When it comes to chronicling the lineage of any long-lasting character, we don't always go back to their childhoods. In most Marvel cases, at least based on the subjects in this video series I'm doing here, characters practically stay the same age forever, especially if they're popular. You can't mess with the cash cows too much. Today, we're going to see how this random, nameless child in a field went from being a helpless kid to the ruler of Limbo, all the way to becoming one of the most powerful X-Men to ever do it. Oh, and she also dies for a bit along the way. Magik's underwhelming debut is low-key one of the reasons I find her so interesting. There's no reason for us to believe that this side character would eventually outshine 90% of the X-Men and go on to have a rich and compelling backstory of her own. As far as this issue goes, she's plot fodder and nothing more. The Uncanny X-Men is one of Marvel's longest running series. It could be argued that it's their flagship title, and that's coming from the same publisher that put out Fantastic Four and The Amazing Spider-Man, for f***'s sake. In the mid-70s, on issue 94, a man named Chris Claremont took over the book from a fella named Gary Friedrich. This is when Claremont would start his legendary 16-year run on the title. He would conclude writing for the X Office in 1991 amid creative differences with the higher-ups. But before any of that drama, it was during this insane run that Claremont started to flesh out the Illyana character. In 1981, for issue number 146, we learned that her name is in fact Illyana and not just some random blonde kid, and the fact that she's Colossus' sister is also ironed out here. In 1982, for issue 160, Claremont wrote maybe the most single pivotal issue in Illyana's character development. By now in the timeline, we only knew her simply as the one-dimensional sister of Colossus, but by the end of issue 160, Illyana would become a fully fleshed out character with wants, needs, and motivations of her own. Here, we briefly learn about her connection to Limbo, but it's not really explored too deeply yet. She hasn't even adopted her X-Men codename of Magik yet. None of this would happen for another couple years. And we'll get to that in a second, cowboy. Hold tight. During the plot that plays out on the pages of issue 160, however, the demon ruler of Limbo, Belasco, selects Illyana to be his next conduit and gives her this medallion type thing. This medallion is more like a locket, and once there are 5 bloodstones inside of it, it would grant Belasco access to the mortal realm in order to destroy it or rule it or something. When Belasco takes Illyana to Limbo, she's like 6 or 7 years old. But when she returns to Earth, she's 13. That means she spent 7 years in Limbo. But here's the thing, muchachos. When she returns to Earth after being saved by the X-Men, only a few seconds had passed for them. They were stunned, shocked, and in total bewilderment to see an older version of Illyana stand before them. What a total mind that must be to them and for Illyana. A future miniseries would detail her time spent in Limbo more intensively, and we're going to talk about that book very soon, young grasshopper. But first, the next key issue on our path of development is Uncanny X-Men number 171, which hit newsstands in 1983. This book is important to Illyana's story because it's the debut of her now iconic Soul Sword. She can manifest this blade out of thin air because it's connected to her soul and Limbo. More on that in a little bit. At first, it's clear to the reader that Illyana doesn't have full control of her powers yet because she seemingly gets possessed and attacks her best friend and roommate, Kitty Pryde, with her newly manifested weapon. Kitty was in the middle of phasing, so this blade shouldn't have touched her, but it did, slicing her on the cheek. This shows us that this ain't your grandpappy's sword. This sword can cut through powers and magic. Illyana is shown to be a little older in this issue. She seems to be aging in regular human years as opposed to her castmates who remain frozen in their peak form. Later on in 1983, Marvel released a 4-part limited series entitled Magik, Storm and Illyana. In it, they explore in detail what happened to Illyana during her time in Limbo. Ironically enough, even though the book is called Magik, Illyana is not. She's still just regular old Illyana at this point. This mini-series by Claremont with art by John Buscema is the definitive telling of Magik's origin. In issue 1, the demon ruler of Limbo, a nasty creep named Belasco, kidnaps Illyana away from the X-Men. Belasco is very much an evil Satan-coded type character. Think pentagrams, red skin, horns, and eternal damnation. That's Belasco. After kidnapping Illyana, he reshapes her soul in his image, whatever the hell that means. Then he basically keeps her locked up in her room and pumps her full of promises of a great future. While in Limbo, after having her soul corrupted, Illyana's mutant powers begin to emerge. Her mutant abilities, combined with the magic she got in Limbo, gave her access to these teleportation portals that she calls her stepping discs. Storm and Cat try to save Illyana, but Storm is too weak and old, and Cat gets turned into a literal cat. Hit like if you like cats. With all the knowledge Illyana picked up in Limbo's library during her 7 years there, she knew she had enough skills to defeat the evil bastard that kidnapped her. So, after years of torture and manipulation, Illyana confronts Belasco. When doing so, something flips inside her. She begins to grow horns as Belasco loses his. Her skin turns this reddish hue as his becomes pale. When she grows her devil tail, Belasco knows it's over. Illyana has fully transformed into her demonic form, known as Darkchild. After turning into Darkchild, Belasco is easily defeated and Illyana becomes the new ruler of Limbo. Easy as that. That's just how it works. Those are the rules. Since Darkchild is the physical manifestation of her corrupted soul, it's kind of ironic that she eventually became the undoing of her very own creator, capturing his realm in the process. How Ileana learns to control Darkchild along with her magical powers and mutant abilities is what makes her so unique in the X-Men universe. I'm not here to say she's the most unique or complex character of all time, but she definitely has a lot of nuances that need to be considered when writing for her. For the most part, I love how Claremont handles those nuances. When Ileana is back in the real world, she knows that she has something truly evil deep inside her. It scares her, and that silent fear informs a lot of her motivations. This miniseries gets an easy recommendation from me. Definitely read it if you get a chance. In 1984, Ileana joins the New Mutants. She beats up this beast named Sim, who she has history with in Limbo, while wearing these pajamas. A few issues later, in issue 21 of New Mutants, Ileana is finally given the name of Magik for the first time, written here in this bio. The art in this book is by Bill Sienkiewicz, and I'm a big fan. In issue 65, it's revealed that she can summon magical armor known as Eldritch Armor to protect her in battle. Hit like if you're down with magical armor. 5 years later, in issue 73 of the same title, the Ileana saga concludes as the Darkchild persona is killed off. Upon dying, Darkchild's charred armor is peeled back to reveal that Ileana has been reverted back to her 7-year-old self. The mind would continue and roll on all the way to 1993 when Ileana would eventually contract the mutant illness known as the Legacy Virus. This gets pretty sad, man, not gonna lie, but this is where Magik actually dies. There's nothing the Professor or Moira could do. The virus was just simply too much. And just like that, it ends for the former demonic sorceress leader of Limbo, peacefully in her bed as an innocent child surrounded by the ones she loves most. As sad as an ending as this is for her, I will say it's a powerful message, as bleak as it may seem. You may defeat your demons one day, but then be blindsided by something completely unexpected the next. It's not a hopeful message, but it is an important one. Life is fleeting and precious, even for the strongest and most pure among us. Next up is what I call the Great Magic Drought, which would go on from 1993 all the way to 2007. This is comic books we're talking about, people, and no one truly stays dead forever. Now, if only they had the foresight to keep this demonic sword baddie alive in the 90s when this sort of thing was insanely popular. Oh well, massive fumble. If they had Magik's current design back in 1994, there's a good chance she could have been a serious competition for the likes of Spawn and other such dark and gritty comics of the time. I'm not going to claim that her existence would have changed comic book history, but all I'm saying is that maybe Marvel kind of screwed the pooch here. As the world slipped into dark, magicless times, one artist was sharpening his craft in the shadows. This man's name is Scotty Young, and in 2007, he was tasked to bring Ileana back from the dead. This gives Magik two clear eras in my mind. One that I'm calling OG Ileana, and the other, this one, I'm dubbing Modern Magik. Scotty is one of my favorite artists in the medium, and I did not recognize this as his work when I first read it. His style today is as stylized and cartoony as you could possibly get. But back in 2007, for issue 37 of the new X-Men, his style was more traditional comic book. For comparison's sake, this is how Scotty drew Magik back then. And this is how he draws Magik today. I love this man's style. Here's his portrayal of Darkchild on the cover of 41 of the new X-Men. Magik is fully back in Marvel canon, and I think it's so sick that Scotty was the dude to draw it. Now, I'm just a huge nerd for this guy's work, so I'm obviously going to appreciate when he draws one of my favorite characters. As hyped as I am for Scotty, I can't give him all the credit for giving Magik what would become her most iconic look. That all-black gear wouldn't debut for another 6 years. So, let's fast forward those 6 years, shall we? In 2013, the Uncanny X-Men title was rebooted back to issue 1, and it was written by the critically acclaimed and consistently commercially successful Brian Michael Bendis. It's here that Magik's design becomes peak. Artist Chris Bachalo is credited with coming up with what we would most identify as Magik's costume today. It's impossible to imagine Magik these days without her crown. This is a crown, right? Either way, I'm gonna call it a crown. But whatever these head spikes are, they're a stroke of pure genius. Absolute character design wizardry on display here. She first appears wearing them on the cover of issue 1 of this reboot, but the design can be seen on full display on the cover of issue 4. It is said that the more powerful her magic gets, the bigger her sword becomes. So I guess at this point she's pretty darn powerful. Look at that thing. The first arc of this new book really hammers home who Illyana is in this new continuity. She's cold, calculating, and ruthless. She's got godlike powers, enough to go toe-to-toe with Dormammu, but she's also a down-to-earth, integral part of the X-Men. But if you're just looking for the first time she really embodied that whole baddie with a big sword thing, it's right here. Illyana would carry this look over to the reboot of the New Mutants in 2019. Her 2021 story with Man-Thing is also pretty cool. Although her look was locked in, memorable, and appealing, Magik remained a relative B character until people got a good look at her in Marvel Rivals. Before we talk about her Marvel Rivals designs, I want to finish talking about her comic books. Her popularity in the game led to Magik getting her very own solo series in 2025. And let me tell you folks, this ain't no gimmicky throwaway cash grab kind of thing. There's real meat on the bone here. The writing is rock solid by Ashley Allen, and the interior art by Herman Peralta is gorgeous. They are the perfect creative team for this character because they both seemingly understand all those little nuances that make Magik so compelling. Peralta's artwork is delicate yet dynamic. His storytelling panel to panel humanizes Illyana when needed, but also makes her demonic and magical sides shine in very dramatic ways. The tonal range on display here is mind-boggling. It's by far the best realization of Magik's character, and all the attention to detail really sucks me into this story. I can suspend my disbelief easily when presented with material this fun and engaging. I don't love the cover art of issues 1 through 5 though, not gonna lie. No disrespect intended to the husband-wife team that created them, but I just don't feel this modern-day pinup style really captures the spirit of the character. When Pablo Villalobos takes over the cover duties, I feel his style perfectly matches Magik's mysterious demonic vibe. I honestly can't say enough good things about this book. Read it, it's fantastic. Even if it's the only comic you read, say you only play Marvel Rivals and are too intimidated to dive into the comics. Let me tell you something, Bucky, this is a great place to start. It's not just a magical, mystical, mysterious superhero story. This friggin' book is rich with exploring interpersonal dynamics and the relationships between characters. That brings us to this year, the book that started it all, the Magik and Colossus team-up book I mentioned at the top of this insane video. To my delight, it's created by the same team as that Magik run that I was just talking about. The cover art of issue 1 was done by David Nakayama. He also draws in that pin-up style that I found didn't work for the solo series. Here though, it works. Love it or hate it, pin-up style covers are more popular these days than story or composition based covers. And if you're gonna get someone to do your pin-up cover, and you have the money to do it, you might as well hire David Nakayama. He's one of the best out there. His work is structural perfection, and he captures the essence of every single subject that he draws. He doesn't only draw pin-up style women though, his Transformers are insane. He's very good at art, and he deserves all the money he makes from all the cover work he gets. David Nakayama, whether you want to admit it or not, is living what 99% of y'all out there would consider the ultimate dream job. He ascended to the tippy top of the industry, essentially by being really good at drawing boobs. Bless his heart. The time has come now to see how these comic book designs informed Magik's base skin in Marvel Rivals. Her design remains true to the source material here with the addition of torn pantyhose, and that just makes her seem 100 times more metal. And oh boy, look at their version of Darkchild. She's the thing of nightmares, bro. In the comics, they tend to leave a lot of Illyana's human form in when she goes full dark mode, but I love how the Marvel Rivals crew went full on demon beast mode for their version of Darkchild. Darkchild is terrifying. Not so much when you go up against her in the game, but the design frame mugs everyone she comes in contact with. As for the Soul Sword, I'm not sure I like this one as much as the X-Men reboot one, but that's just my opinion. The one from the comics is just insanely iconic. And that, my friends, was the rise and fall, the death and revival, the slow burn ascent to the top of Illyana Rasputin. Not all superheroes are created equal. Thanks for watching.